The year I was most in love with Alexander was also the year he was poorest. I found a wealthy patron and broke up with him. Before the Rolls-Royce came to pick me up, I rejected him completely. In the pouring rain, he ran after the car for a long time, crying and begging me to change my mind. I didn't get out of the car, and he swore there he would succeed and make me regret today's decision. 7 years later, we met again. He had become a successful star and had a girlfriend from a good family. I was still an unknown actress. He asked me if I ever regretted it. He didn't know. During the nights tormented by stomach cancer, I had long felt that life was meaningless. After a heartbreaking breakup, 7 years had passed, and Alexander and I met again on the set. As soon as he entered the set, the entire scene came alive. Alexander is even more handsome in person than on TV. He and Isabella are a perfect match. I'm definitely rooting for them. Ah, Alexander is looking at me? You're just making things up. He's clearly looking at me. The two young girls argued back and forth. They exchanged glances, neither willing to back down, stretching their necks to get a better look. Isabella, who played the female lead, hurried over, her skirt hiked up high, her hair still a mess. Alexander, what are you doing here? Her eyes sparkled with the shy joy of a young girl. Alexander looked at her tenderly and reached out to help her fix her messy hair. I was filming a promotional video nearby and dropped by to see you. The assistant led the crew inside and placed foam boxes on the table. Alexander treated the crew to milk tea, and everyone lined up to get some. Everyone on set cheered and chatted about how well-suited the two were, wishing them a long and happy future. I looked at Alexander, tall, slim, handsome, and elegant, and felt as though a lot of time had passed over the past 7 years. He had become famous nationwide, with both fame and fortune, and a girlfriend from a good family. I was just an unknown actor, watching him succeed in both his career and love life like an outsider. He was living such a good life now. I should be happy for him, but a bitter taste filled my heart, like drinking lemon water without sugar. I quietly stepped back, away from the bustling crowd. My friend Emily pushes her way through the crowd with a milk tea and a cake, running happily toward me. Alexander is really great, handsome, and kind, and he buys things I'd never dare to buy for myself. The weather is cool now, so we can save it for a late-night snack. Emily slaps her forehead in frustration. I almost forgot. You like Alexander? You can't even eat when you see him. Let's go. I'll take you to get his autograph. I snapped out of it and shook my head quickly, saying, "No, it's okay." Emily pulled me forward, turning back with a smile that said she understood me. You're such a frugal person. You won't even buy cosmetics, yet you insist on buying Alexander's magazine. You must be a true fan. Don't worry. I'll do my best to help you succeed in chasing your idol today. There's really no need. Let's just go back and eat. Emily pulled me very hard, using one hand to hold me while she pushed her way through the dense crowd like a wedge. I was being jostled from all sides, and every step felt like a struggle. Suddenly, the crowd began to stir. Someone pushed me, and I was suddenly pushed out of the crowd, stumbling a few steps before locking eyes with Alexander. The anticipation and nervousness I had felt vanished in an instant, replaced by awkwardness and embarrassment. I felt panicked and dared not look at the man. Emily ran over excitedly and pushed me in front of Alexander. You like Mr. Alexander, don't you? Finally. You get to meet him in person. Go ask for his autograph. I steadied myself and tried not to think about the intense gaze. Just then, a clear voice rang out above me, devoid of any emotion. Are you also my fan? This statement immediately drew everyone's attention to me, their eyes filled with envy, jealousy, and regret. I quickly glanced at Alexander, my gaze landing on his chin, and said casually, Mr. Alexander is very popular and has many fans. I'm just one of them, nothing special. Isabella lifted my chin and turned to Alexander with a sweet smile. Alexander, you're really charming. You have such a beautiful fan, but liking is just liking. Isabella looked at me with a hint of a cold smile. Girls should maintain some modesty. Being too flashy to attract attention just makes you look awkward and unattractive. I quickly fled the scene. Isabella smiled beautifully. Her natural elegance made me feel like a clown. Her wealthy upbringing made her seem casual and relaxed, unconcerned with the world around her. As for me, I had been crushed by the pressures of reality, reduced to a state of humility, standing beside Alexander. I felt utterly unworthy. I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled bitterly, hurriedly touching up my makeup before rushing out the door. Looking up, I froze in place. Alexander was leaning against the wall, with plastered dust on his shirt. Smoke swirled around his face, making him look both heavy and alluring. I tried not to think about the sound of my heartbeat and hurried away with my head down. Suddenly, my arm was grabbed and a deep male voice echoed in my ear. "Sophia, don't you have anything to say to me?" His voice trembled slightly, and the corners of his eyes were flushed, insisting on an answer. I easily broke free from his grip and smiled indifferently. "Everything I needed to say 7 years ago has already been said. There's nothing left to talk about between us now." "Nothing to talk about? That's truly speechless?" Alexander roared angrily, reaching out to pull me into his embrace. Behind me was the cold wall, and before me was a man with a furious expression. He gave a cold laugh, his thin lips curling slightly upward. "How dare you have nothing to say to me now? You abandoned me without a second thought back then, betrayed our feelings. And now you're living a life of luxury? What, now that you're old and abandoned, you have to come back to Hollywood to make a living?" Every word felt like a knife stabbing into my heart, stirring up a whirlwind of emotions. The more I suffered inside, the more I tried to look calm and composed on the outside. This is all for survival? Why bother distinguishing between high and low? Noble and base, we've already gone our separate ways. Rest assured, I won't bring up the past, and you can continue with your love life. Alexander's anger grew stronger. He grabbed my chin and gritted his teeth. "Sophia, how can you think there's no debt between us? How can you think that after you humiliated me like that, I could still treat you like a stranger?" The hatred and despair in my heart remind me every moment of how cold and heartless you are. "I will never forgive you," he said angrily. After speaking, he forcefully twisted my chin and stormed off. I slowly sat down on the ground, hiding in the shadows and crying bitterly. No one knew that Alexander and I had once been together, a famous star and an unknown actress. It didn't seem like they could have been involved. At the time, we had just graduated in our early 20s, full of dreams of a career in the entertainment industry, and had come to Hollywood. With no resources or connections, we had to start from the bottom. We played dead bodies, beggars, robbers, and other minor roles with little screen time. If we didn't get any roles, we wouldn't get free meals. So we had to stay in our rented rooms, which were freezing in winter and sweltering in summer, and cook a big pot of plain noodles. When you have someone to share your feelings with, even drinking water together feels satisfying. Sharing a chicken drumstick between two people is especially delicious. Hollywood winters are harsh, with heavy snowfall that cuts through to the bone. Alexander worked as a stunt double for the lead actors, often being pushed into the water. He even bought me a down jacket that cost nearly $1,000. I was both moved and heartbroken, tears welling up in my eyes. In that dark night with no clear path ahead, we held each other tightly, relying on each other as our only support. We encouraged each other, dreaming of one day becoming the main characters. After 2 years of effort, we gradually found our places in some important roles and moved into a more spacious rental apartment. The day I proposed breaking up was Alexander's birthday. His film crew had just wrapped up, and he had specially bought my favorite matcha cake. We were so excited to celebrate at home, but I poured cold water on his enthusiasm. Why? The cake fell to the ground, and he couldn't believe it. I pointed to the Rolls-Royce on the side of the road and said, "Alexander, I'm already 24 years old. Youth is precious for a woman. Rather than wasting my youth in a cramped rental apartment chasing meaningless dreams, I'd rather find my true worth while I'm still young." I was about to grab my suitcase and leave, but Alexander stopped me with tears in his eyes. "Sophia, I don't believe you really think that. Did someone threaten you? Tell me, I'll help you." I pushed his hand away and smiled mockingly. "No one can threaten me. I just don't want to live that kind of miserable life with you. I always pick clothes on sale, buy fruits and vegetables at discounted prices, and spend my days comparing prices. I'm sick of this life." Alexander pulled out a stack of cash from his coat pocket and handed it to me. "Sophia, this is all the money I earned from the film. Once this show airs and I become famous, I'll get better roles. Then I can buy you anything you want, and we'll have luxury cars and mansions. Tell me, when will everyone in the country know your name? When will we be able to afford luxury cars and villas? 5 years? 10 years? There are so many ordinary actors out there. How many of them succeed? What makes you think you'll be the one who gets lucky? You promised me those things, and that person can already do them now. Why should I risk an uncertain future with you? I threw the money at him, humiliating him. This money isn't even enough for a pair of handmade leather shoes. Keep it for yourself to buy something nice to eat. The car drove away, and it was pouring rain outside. Alexander chased after the car, tears streaming down his face, begging, "Please don't leave me. I'll give you anything you want, Sophia. I will succeed and make you regret today's decision." Inside the luxurious car, I was crying uncontrollably. Through the heavy rain, I heard him shouting. He said he would never forgive me. The next day, Alexander suddenly showed up on set and replaced the original male lead, who had already finished his makeup and costume tests. Director Wilson was thrilled because Alexander was popular and had high commercial value. Choosing him meant attracting more investors and securing a better release schedule. Everything was falling into place. Perhaps he would have a breakthrough role and become a director everyone wanted to work with Alexander on board. The small web series became the platform's flagship project. He suddenly became a hot figure in the entertainment industry, backed by connections and resources. Those who had been striving in the industry for years, but hadn't gained any traction, were all vying for this opportunity. Even the villainous role I was playing had someone eyeing it. Emily walked in with a troubled expression on her face. "Sophia, there are so many people auditioning at the production team. No one is paying attention to my small role. Your role has scenes with the male and female leads. Everyone is watching you. Sigh, life is so tough for ordinary people. Instead of waiting passively, I should take the initiative." After waiting all day, I finally waited until the crew wrapped up at midnight. The crowd poured out, and I rushed over, handing my documents to Director Wilson. "Director Wilson, I'm Sophia. This is the character profile I wrote. It's 10,000 words long. I hope you'll consider me." Director Wilson was on the phone and casually took my folder. "All right, I got it," he said. People started leaving, and the folder lay quietly on the ground, fluttering in the wind. It felt like it was mocking my helplessness and fantasies. The messages I sent on my phone went unanswered. My stomach started growling. I skillfully took out 2 painkillers and swallowed them. I couldn't let the role be taken away from me. I really needed that paycheck. After some thought, I finally knocked on Alexander's door and begged him to help me keep the role. He leaned back on the sofa, speaking casually. "Sophia, you sure know how to endure. Yesterday you wanted to keep your distance from me, and now you're begging me for help. Do you think I have any reason to help you?" I straightened my back and gave myself a mental boost. "This role was originally mine. It's because you suddenly interfered with the production team that so many people are now competing for it. You should take responsibility for the consequences of your actions." He glanced at me sideways, a smug smile in his eyes. "You have no background or connections? You can't compete with them. You can only watch helplessly as your role is taken away. Just like back then when I had nothing and couldn't keep you, I had to watch you get into that luxury car. You're just like I was 7 years ago, unable to get what you want." My voice was hoarse as I forced myself to speak. "7 years ago, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize to you, I beg you. We had a relationship before. Help me this once and I'll never bother you again. Not all apologies can earn forgiveness." Alexander walked to the window, pretended to throw something, then turned around and teased, "Go downstairs and find the ring I threw away before dawn. And I'll help you keep your role and scenes." Below was the hotel garden. During the day, the red flowers and green leaves looked vibrant, and the sound of the stream was gentle. But at night, everything was dark and quiet. Searching for a ring in the grass was like looking for a needle in a haystack. I knew Alexander was deliberately making things difficult for me. But that was the situation, and I had no choice but to search. Before leaving, I asked Alexander again, "I will definitely find the ring. You have to promise me that." Of course, I held my phone and searched the garden carefully. Sometimes I had to crawl into the bushes, keeping my head down as I moved forward. Sometimes I was on the grass, kneeling down and feeling my way forward slowly. My waist ached, my legs were sore, and my eyes felt uncomfortable. The stream had wet my pant legs and I was covered in sweat. The wind blew, and I felt so cold I started shivering. By the time the eastern sky began to lighten, I still hadn't found the ring. Hope was fading. I stared at the moon sinking in the west. My mind a blank, in the moonlight, another shadow was stretched out. Alexander stood before me, dressed in thick clothing. "Didn't you find it?" I felt utterly exhausted. Unable to muster even a smile, I searched every inch of this land, but I still couldn't find the ring. Though I tried my best, it seems my luck wasn't with me this time. At that moment, Alexander spread his hands, and in the palm of his hand lay a simple ring. You couldn't find it because I never lost it in the first place. I forced a smile. So you never intended to help me? You were just toying with me. Alexander slowly knelt down and looked me in the eyes. What's the point of making you suffer? What you've gone through tonight pales in comparison to what I endured 7 years ago. I was too exhausted to remember the details clearly. All I remember is the morning sunlight mingling with moonlight, blurring the emotions on Alexander's face. He stared at me for a long time before turning away, his voice fading into the wind. Give it your best shot. Don't make me lose face too. After several hours of effort, Alexander helped me keep the role. Before filming began, Emily and I practiced our lines multiple times, aiming for perfection. But when the actual shoot started, things didn't go as smoothly as I had hoped. Oh, sorry, I forgot my lines. Let's try again. They didn't capture my better-looking left side. Can we do it again? My expression was too fierce when I was hitting it. It'll disappoint the audience. Can we do it again? Again? This was the 10th time I climbed onto the front of the boat. Soaking wet, the wet period costume clings tightly to her body, making her feel heavy. 5 or 6 people surround Isabella tightly. Some were holding umbrellas. Some were feeding her water, and others were touching up her makeup. Isabella enjoyed the attention from the crew while chatting casually with the director. Director Wilson tried to urge Isabella to speed up, but she waved her hand dismissively and said, "Director Wilson, you have to make me look good in the shots. Otherwise, I'll ask Dad to invest another 20 million. Director Wilson gave an awkward smile and glared at me fiercely. Today's scene was simple. The younger sister, who had always lived a comfortable life, felt very uncomfortable because she was jealous of her younger sister, who had just returned from the estate, and her beloved fiancé. So she pretended to be friendly and invited her younger sister to go to the lake together. The railing of the boat had already been tampered with by the younger sister, giving her an opportunity to push her younger sister into the water. She also arranged for some thugs to be nearby to rescue her, with the aim of ruining her younger sister's reputation and preventing her from completing the engagement. Unbeknownst to her, the younger sister had already seen through everything and instead used her own methods to make the half-sister reap what she had sown. I play the role of the half-sister, a typical villainous character who is destined to be sacrificed. Isabella plays the role of the clever, resourceful, and vengeful younger sister. This is the kind of strong female lead that audiences love. The plot is fast-paced and emotionally charged, and while audiences are enjoying the thrill of watching the characters level up and defeat their enemies, they tend to lower their expectations for the lead actress's acting skills. In other words, this role is relatively easy to play. Isabella is capable, but she deliberately made things difficult for herself, stumbling over her lines 10 times. Everyone could tell she was targeting me, but who would say such a thing? There's no need to offend the daughter of a wealthy individual over a minor actor. Life is like that. Everyone should mind their own business. When Alexander emerged with her makeup done, she drew gasps from everyone. When she saw me, her eyes held a complex mix of emotions. Isabella pulled Alexander over to Director Wilson and pleaded with him to ensure their first meeting was filmed properly. When filming resumed, I was slapped again by Isabella. At that moment, I lunged toward the railing as the script called for, but the railing gave way, and I fell into the water. Everything went smoothly. I thought the scene was finally done, but Isabella said her face was blocked by her sleeve and wanted to do it again. Alexander sat under a nearby umbrella, tightly closing his mouth. I was exhausted but kept standing in front of Isabella again and again. Slap, slap, slap. I jumped into the water like a dumpling. When I came back up, Alexander's assistant was calling everyone over to the other side for afternoon tea. Isabella was lying on a folding chair, resting with her eyes closed. If I did anything to upset Mtkes Isabella, please don't take it to heart. Just think of me as weeds by the roadside. Step over them and move on. She opened her eyes, looked at me, and sized me up from head to toe. You're not just an ordinary flower, you're a charming magnolia that makes every man who sees you want to get closer. I furrowed my brows. She glanced at her newly done nails, and her expression turned cold. You can date anyone you want, but don't compete with me for Alexander. My heart skipped a beat. What's going on? What are you pretending to be? She sneered. This morning, I saw you and Alexander chatting in the hotel garden. I know Alexander is very popular in the entertainment industry, and there are plenty of female celebrities who want to be linked to him, but he's already mine, and I won't allow any other woman to compete for him. Do you understand what I mean? The pain in my lower abdomen grew more intense. Every time I get my period, I feel abdominal pain. Today I had to go swimming, so I wrapped several layers of plastic wrap around myself, but the plastic wrap only keeps water out. It can't block the coldness of the water. Now my lower abdomen is throbbing with pain. I held my lower abdomen, trying to transfer some heat. Mtkes Isabella misunderstood. I was just going to the garden to look for something, and happened to run into Mr. Alexander. Please rest assured, I am well aware of my own position, and would never have any inappropriate thoughts toward Mr. Alexander. Isabella was satisfied with my explanation. She picked up the plate on the small table and frowned. I wanted to eat sunflower seeds, but cracking them open didn't seem very elegant, so I quickly offered to peel them for her. To make me look more like a lady, the stylist painted my nails with a sheer nude-colored polish. Isabella thought nail polish was bad for your health and wouldn't let me use it. I could only use my fingertips to gently press the hard shells, one after another. My fingertips gradually turned red and swollen, with some skin peeling off. After half an hour, the people who had gone out for afternoon tea began to return. Isabella lazily said she wanted to stop. I quickly handed her the sunflower seeds. Isabella had her assistant take them, but she frowned disdainfully. I don't eat such high-calorie nuts. You can take them back for my parrot to eat. Don't waste Sophia's kindness. I suppressed my frustration and smiled back at the camera. Isabella was in a good mood, and the filming went smoothly. One take was done. The story of the concubine's daughter scheming against her elder sister finally came to an end. At midnight, I changed out of my damp costume and took a taxi back to the hotel in a daze. Upon reaching the room door, I half closed my eyes and pulled out the room keycard. Why won't the door open? Today has been so unlucky. Even a door is giving me trouble. I slowly knelt down, hugging my knees and crying silently. Suddenly, the door opened. Alexander was wearing a robe, looking rather displeased. If you want to cry, go back to your own room. What are you doing crying here? I looked up at the room number and realized I had pressed the wrong floor. I'm sorry, I'll leave right away. Isabella was a bit too much today. She's a bit naive, and her emotions are written all over her face. I'll apologize to you on her behalf. Don't take it to heart. Alexander's voice came from behind me, sounding out of place in the quiet corridor. He said he was sorry, so do I have to forgive him? I stopped in my tracks and said coldly, all right, I forgive her. Sophia, don't get angry. Alexander caught up to me and grabbed my arm. Isabella's family is very wealthy. Going against her won't end well for you. I gave him a strange look and couldn't help but laugh. I've already said I forgive her. Why are you still harping on it? Just because her family is powerful, I have to beg her for forgiveness like some high-end mighty figure, making the victim write a letter asking her not to hold a grudge over what she did to me, and even demand that she forgive herself. Alexander frowned, looking a bit unhappy. That's not what I meant. Sophia, can you be a little softer, this way? You won't hurt yourself or others. I looked at him, as if he were a stranger. When Alexander first started acting, he was bullied by the crew because he was a newbie, and they secretly took half of his pay. Alexander dared not go to them to ask for the money, afraid of angering the crew and losing his job. I spent 3 days trying to get the money back for the girl, and finally got the other half of the pay. The crew reluctantly transferred the money to me, saying I was too difficult to deal with. Alexander praised me for being brave. Time passed, and Alexander grew tired of my straightforwardness, even though I had once spoken up for him. Indeed, I had no money or power to fight for justice. Do I not even have the right to hate? Forget it. He's so popular, how could I expect him to understand my feelings? I shook off his hand. Stay away from me. Alexander, the big star. Everyone is watching. After filming a big scene, Alexander, as the male lead, invited the entire crew to dinner. Emily and I sat together, quietly sipping our soup. After 2 sips, I felt a bit queasy. Emily noticed my pale face and asked with concern, Sophia, are you okay? I smiled and shook my head. During dinner, a man suddenly pulled me into a private room. The small private room was filled with smoke and the smell of alcohol was strong. The men sat together, talking freely about their glorious past. The beautifully dressed girls poured them drinks, served food, and praised them at the right moments, trying to make the men feel happy and satisfy their vanity. The atmosphere was very lively. A girl lifted her coat, revealing a skirt that just reached her thighs, and struck a split pose. The men laughed happily and began chatting casually. This girl has good basic skills. It's a shame she wasn't given an important role. If she were properly trained, she could be even better. The girl wore a sweet smile, seeming content to be a dish on the table. This scene made me feel even more uncomfortable. I was seated at an empty spot. Assistant Director Brown on my left began enthusiastically introducing me, as if recommending a special dish. This is the little Sophia I mentioned earlier. What do you think? I wasn't exaggerating. Was I? Little Sophia is a 100% natural beauty. If any of you have suitable roles, you must consider little Sophia. She absolutely cannot be overlooked. It would be a loss for both the entertainment industry and the audience. A dozen pairs of eyes were fixed on me, as if they wanted to strip me naked. The men nodded in agreement, their smiles making me feel uneasy. I clutched the tablecloth tightly, thinking only of leaving this suffocating place as soon as possible. Assistant Director Brown noticed my daze, his expression darkening. He picked up the wine bottle himself and urged, "Little Sophia, everyone wants to introduce you to roles. You should make an effort to impress them." I covered the glass with my hand and tried to refuse. "I just took some antibiotics. I can't drink alcohol. Mixing antibiotics with alcohol can have serious consequences." A bald, overweight man immediately frowned and slammed his glass on the table. "We're offering you a drink because we value you. Don't be so arrogant. You don't think the filming is over, do you?" His words carried a clear warning. "I don't care much about how many scenes I have in the show. I'm more concerned about whether my partner's salary will be paid on time. This Mediterranean guy has some clout on set. A few words from him could delay my pay. When you're under someone's roof, you have to bow your head." I raised my glass and walked over to the Mediterranean guy. "Earlier, I didn't consider your feelings. Please don't be angry. I'll drink 3 glasses myself, starting with you." The strong alcohol slid down my throat and into my stomach, causing a burning pain. I flipped the glass upside down, prompting cheers from everyone. Just as I was about to leave, a heavyset man grabbed me and forced me to drink. He shouted that if I didn't drink, it meant I looked down on him. I closed my eyes and forced down the bitter liquid. After 10 people had taken their turns, my head was spinning and everything in front of me was blurry. I didn't feel well, so I decided to go rest. "Teachers, please eat and drink well. Don't worry about me." I felt dizzy, pushed away the cup of alcohol offered to me, and leaned against the wall as I walked out. With each step, it felt like I was walking on clouds, light and weightless with no sense of reality. "Hey, don't leave. It's boring alone. Stay and play with us." Suddenly, a large hand slapped my shoulder, and I was pulled back, colliding with the flower stand beside me. Turning around, I saw those men grinning wickedly, reaching out toward me. I forced myself to stay calm and warned them in a stern voice. "Today is Alexander's treat. You're causing trouble on his turf. Don't you fear he'll get angry?" The man with the beer belly pulled out a camera and smiled smugly. "Alexander is such a powerful person. Why would he care about what happens in this small private room? It's because you offended him that he wants to cause trouble for you? I advise you to obey, this way you'll suffer less." My heart tightened. Seeing the dark camera, I felt a bit afraid. Who is this person who dares to treat me this way? Countless hands reached out toward me. I threw the flower pot with all my strength and stumbled toward the door. Just as I stuck half my body out, someone grabbed my hair. I clung to the doorframe and screamed, "Let me go. Help, is anyone there? HMPH. Who dares to interfere in our business? Scream all you want." The hands on the doorframe slowly let go, and despair wrapped around me like spider webs. Just then, a flash of light caught my eye. Alexander heard the sound and turned around, looking confused. I hurriedly shouted, "Come help me. They're bullying me." Mediterranean smiled and came out to defuse the situation. "Alexander, we were just joking with her. Go back to the private room. Don't make Isabella worry." With tears in my eyes, I pleaded, "They're going to bully me, Alexander. Please help me, Alexander." With one hand in his pocket, glanced at me disdainfully. "You like to hang around rich people, don't you? Take your time picking one." With that, he turned and left, leaving me behind. The Mediterranean-looking man and the beer-bellied man laughed as they dragged me into the room. Rough hands roamed over my body. I closed my eyes in despair, feeling trapped in the cold, dark depths. Was abandoning me back then really so unforgivable? Just as the door was about to close, a pale, slender hand pressed against the door frame. Alexander smiled slightly. I've thought it over. I won't give you the chance to rely on the rich to live a good life. You should spend your life in obscurity. Struggling to get by, he pushed the door open forcefully and pulled me behind him. She has a stubborn personality. If she stays here, it might affect your mood. Everyone, enjoy yourselves. I'll take her away first in Alexander's business car. I broke the silence first. Thank you for today. Alexander held my chin, his eyes revealing a complex emotion. Sophia, is that all you can say? He was very close to me, our breath mingling, the atmosphere a bit ambiguous. I turned away uneasily. Given our current relationship, I really didn't know what else to say, only thank you. It's already late, I need to go back to the hotel to pack my luggage. Alexander, goodbye. I glanced at him one last time and stood up. Sophia? The world spun before my eyes as I saw his furious gaze. What do you think I am? When you need my help, you say nice things to get me to do it for you. But once it's done, you just brush me aside with a few careless thanks. Who cares about your thanks? You were laughing so happily with those middle-aged men in the private room, but you look so gloomy when you're with me, not even willing to say a few nice words. Do you think that no matter who I am, I'm not worth your time to please? My voice was hoarse as I said with a bitter expression, Alexander, you're a super popular star. Everyone flatters you wherever you go. I'm different, I have to work and earn money. I can only force a smile and drink the wine I don't want to drink. Alexander's eyes flickered slightly. So, do you regret it now? His deep eyes fixed on me, afraid to miss any subtle change on my face. I lowered my eyes, knowing the words weren't sincere. I don't regret it. By this point, I had no room left for regret. Back at the hotel, I packed my bags until midnight, finally collapsing into sleep from exhaustion. The morning light was still faint when I was awakened by an urgent knock on the door. As soon as I opened it, Emily rushed in, holding her phone and exclaiming, Sophia, you're trending on social media. I picked up my phone and saw that the top trending topic read, Alexander had an affair with an unknown actress, suspected of cheating. There was also a deep red exploding icon. Topics related to Alexander and Isabella quickly filled a third of the trending list. The comment section was filled with curious onlookers, cold mockery from haters, and angry fans of Isabella, sympathizing with her sister's plight. They were blaming Alexander while searching everywhere for me. Luckily, I don't use social media, or else I would have been in trouble by now. Sophia, you should go back home and hide for a while. Alexander and Isabella are too popular. Some extreme fans might come looking for trouble. Emily paced back and forth in the room. She was just a little girl with no power or influence. After thinking for a while, this was the only solution she could come up with. I was moved by her innocent kindness. There was no curiosity, no blame, and no accusation. She was just standing by me as a friend, caring about me. What if I really did affect their relationship like the netizens said? Emily stopped her fingers on the screen, her face as red as a pufferfish. You're not that kind of person with your looks. If you wanted to take the easy way out, you could have easily gotten resources long ago. Why are you still playing a supporting role? Emily trusted me unconditionally, but Isabella didn't care about what I said. Misunderstanding, Isabella took off her sunglasses and laughed coldly. I saw the surveillance footage. You were the one who approached Alexander for help and called him Alexander in an intimate way. Alexander usually doesn't meddle in others' affairs, but he made an exception for you multiple times. First, he pleaded with the director to keep your role. Then, when I was putting you in a difficult position, he spoke up for you. Yesterday, she saved you. And today, you're trending on social media. All these things are so obvious, yet you call it a misunderstanding, Sophia. Do you really think I'd believe you? Isabella was dressed in designer clothes, her makeup flawless. Her gaze was as cold as winter ice, completely different from the gentle, adorable expression she showed in front of Alexander. My heart tightened. I clearly wanted to keep my distance from Alexander, but I've unconsciously grown so attached to him. I can't bring myself to let go completely. I bit my lip and said, I'm sorry. I'll leave and never disturb your life again. But leaving isn't enough. Isabella raised her chin and looked at me, her jealousy evident in her eyes. As long as you're around, Alexander will always think of you. He's perfect in every way, except he's too obsessed with the past. What do you think, Alexander's ex-girlfriend? Sophia, the coffee spoon clinked against the ceramic cup, making a crisp sound. I paused, feeling a sense of relief. The secret I'd hidden for so long had finally been discovered. Alexander and I were over. Now you were his girlfriend, you didn't need to think about me anymore. I hoped you'd keep your promise. Otherwise, I'd show you what I was capable of. Your elderly grandmother was still relying on you to earn money for her medicine. My heart trembled. Some people are just so lucky, born with wealth, power, and status that ordinary people can only dream of. I feel like all my opportunities have been easily shut down by them. My anger and resistance are just their entertainment when they're bored. Once they lose patience, a single push will send me crashing down. It was like this 7 years ago, and it's still like this 7 years later. Isabella's threat was direct, but it worked. Grandma is my only family, and the only reason I keep going. I can't risk her. So I blocked Alexander's contact information, canceled my phone card, changed my train ticket, and returned to my hometown. When I got back, Grandma's homemade dumpling soup was waiting for me. The thin wrappers, generous filling, and fresh ingredients made it a home-cooked delicacy you can't find anywhere else. Under the dim yellow light, Grandma looked at me with concern, her heart aching for me. Sophia, did you eat well out there? You look thinner. I forced myself to swallow a dumpling, even though my stomach hurt a little, but I still put on a happy face. The production team always gave me boxed meals, and I ate them all clean. You know, I've always eaten a lot since I was a child, but my weight has always been well maintained. What nutrition could there be in boxed meals? Grandma glanced at me and said, "Stay a few more days this time, and I'll cook something special for you." Okay, there weren't many young people in the small city, and the pace of life was quite slow. Buying groceries, cooking, and the 3 meals a day were the most important things in a day. After eating, one could sit at the street corner and listen to others chat about the trivial matters of daily life. The afternoon sun warmed my body. The weather was clear, and time seemed to slow down, like thick honey. Until Alexander's arrival, the once peaceful life began to stir. Under the golden sunset, the man leaned against the car. His shadow stretched out unusually long. He was wrapped tightly in layers, with only a pair of familiar eyes visible. I stood there holding the trash. Stunned, it was Alexander. How did he end up here? The air was filled with the fresh scent of cedar. Alexander's voice was low as he said, "I regret it." What's going on? My mind was filled with questions, and I tried to push Alexander away, but his arms around my waist tightened. "Sophia, I regret acting so arrogant in front of you. And I regret being cold and sarcastic toward you. That's not how I really felt. We spent 4 years together, sharing every moment of our youth, yet we parted ways so unhappily. 7 years later, we meet again, and you seem so carefree, as if nothing matters, while I'm still clinging to the past, feeling like it's all a joke. After I became famous, I imagined countless scenarios of us reuniting. I truly wished I could throw a box of money in front of you, mock you for having no taste, for betting on the wrong horse and watch you regret it until you cried. But he sighed helplessly, like a trapped animal, giving up the struggle. But when I saw you, all the revenge plans I had in my heart vanished instantly. I don't want to disappoint you, nor do I want you to be bullied by Isabella, or see you being harassed by those despicable men. I thought I hated you, but it turns out I love you even more. Am I too lacking in self-respect you don't care about me at all, yet I keep clinging to you?" He gave a wry smile, his eyes filled with a faint sense of confusion, like the thin mist in the mountains on a summer morning. Love can turn into hate. Without love, how could there be hate? My love for you helped me overcome my desire for revenge. I can't help but be soft-hearted, but I really don't have the strength to think about these emotional matters anymore. Alexander, you're a good person. It's just that I'm not as outstanding as you. Your future is bright, and you're highly regarded. You shouldn't waste your time on me. It's not worth it for you. Alexander's gaze was unwavering. He spoke his mind directly. Whether this is worth saying or not, you can judge for yourself. Sophia, 7 years ago you broke up with me without consulting me. Now that I'm pursuing you again, I don't need your permission. Following good friends makes you better. Following bad friends might make you worse. Sophia, I learned that from you. He looked down at me and smiled, appearing particularly kind, just like the boy who had once captivated me 7 years ago. My heart was racing, and my breathing was becoming audible. The honking of cars and the laughter of children gradually faded away. A cold breeze blew, causing me to shiver involuntarily. Slowly, my thoughts began to clarify. I couldn't let him enjoy temporary happiness only to lose the person he loved. What about Isabella? Though I have no power or status, I won't lower myself to be a third wheel in someone else's relationship. Alexander explained that Isabella and I were just collaborating for company publicity. And once she gained popularity, we'd go our separate ways. Seeing my attitude soften, his hand grew bolder, gripping mine tightly. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you. Alexander rented a small courtyard near my home and often appeared in my life. When I accompanied Grandma to the park for a walk, he followed from a distance, like a bodyguard. When I went grocery shopping, he insisted on paying and helped carry the bags. Grandma was tending to her vegetable garden, and he carried a plastic bag to spread fertilizer. His custom-made leather shoes were splattered with mud, but he didn't seem to mind at all. He was very enthusiastic and considerate. Grandma was very satisfied with him and even asked me for my opinion. Sophia, what do you think of little Alexander? I skillfully joined the new ball of yarn and told Grandma, Alexander and I broke up a long time ago. Grandma looked at me and joked, then why are you still knitting him a scarf, me? Who says you can't get back together after breaking up 7 years ago? You were both young and unwilling to compromise. Breaking up out of stubbornness was normal. However, I've been observing little Alexander's behavior lately. He cares deeply for you, and you're not completely without feelings for him either, Sophia. Grandma gently stroked my head, her eyes filled with concern. Grandma is getting old and her health isn't good. The time she has left to spend with you is growing shorter. If I could see you get married before I pass away, I would have no regrets in this life. I think little Alexander is a good guy. It's my birthday in 2 days. Why don't you invite him over for dinner? My mother died in childbirth when I was born. My father remarried soon after. My grandparents thought I was a girl and didn't want to raise another child, so they handed me over to Grandma without even giving her any child support. My birth took away Grandma's daughter, but she gave me all her love without hesitation. Pretty hairpins, delicious snacks, and fashionable backpacks, while my peers were still wearing their older siblings' hand-me-downs. I was already wearing the beautiful clothes Grandma bought for me, and everyone envied me. A little boy bullied me because I didn't have parents. When Grandma found out, she took me to confront him. On the way home, she bought me an orange-flavored ice pop, which was the only thing that cooled me down on that sweltering summer day. Later, when I wanted to study acting, Grandma used her savings to support my dream. Under the warm yellow light, she handed me her savings book, her wrinkled hands gently caressing my face. She said, Sophia, go pursue your dream. Grandma will always be here waiting for you. At 18, I packed my bag and set off for the future, leaving Grandma behind in that old alley. On Grandma's birthday, Alexander arrived with a large bag of groceries. As soon as he entered the door, he volunteered to help Grandma in the kitchen. Alexander chatted cheerfully, making the elderly birthday girl laugh happily. After preparing the meal, Alexander checked his phone and said he needed to go pick up the birthday cake he had ordered in advance. Grandma pushed me toward the door, saying, Little Alexander isn't familiar with this place. You go with him. Alexander's eyes were filled with joy. Just as they came out of the bakery, he had a cake box in his hands. Thank you for accompanying Grandma to celebrate her birthday today. She was very happy. Sophia, you don't have to keep thanking me. Alexander's voice was low and serious. Soon, they arrived at the small alley. As soon as they reached the entrance of the small courtyard, they heard a sharp female voice. Your granddaughter Sophia is truly shameless, deliberately breaking up other people's families. 7 years ago, you stole my husband from my aunt, and now you're trying to steal my boyfriend. You look pure on the surface, but you have many secrets. You'll do anything for money. You're using the money she earned by selling herself to buy medicine. Don't you feel uncomfortable? Isabella was so angry that her face turned red. She took out a stack of photos from her bag and threw them forcefully in front of Grandma. The photos scattered on the ground, exposing my shameful past to the sunlight. Grandma picked up a photo from the ground near my feet. Upon seeing it, her expression turned grim, and her breathing became rapid. I rushed to Grandma's side and asked, Grandma, are you okay? I'll take you to the hospital immediately. Sophia, Grandma gripped my arm tightly, glaring at me and demanded, I want to hear it from your own mouth. Did you do these improper things in the photo? I was lying on the ground in a disheveled state, my clothes torn and revealing a lot of skin. Two prominent characters were written on my face. The humiliation of the past flooded back, and I felt completely powerless. Isabella sneered and said, "Who told you to be a mistress? You deserve to be punished by my Aunt Sophia?" Grandma's face turned pale, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She desperately wanted to hear a denial. I had always followed the law and had nothing to hide. I had never done anything to betray myself. "Tell me, did you do it or not?" I cried hysterically. "Grandma, please calm down. Let me take you to the hospital first." Suddenly, Grandma slapped me hard across the face, her face filled with pain. "I've always felt sorry for you because you have no parents and tried my best to fulfill your every request. I never thought that after raising you, you would harm another family for money. It's my fault for not raising you properly. I'm truly sorry to your mother." She rolled her eyes and fainted. Grandma was rushed into the operating room for emergency surgery. Isabella hurried after her, eager to reveal my true situation to Alexander. "Alexander, you may not be fully aware of Sophia's true situation. 7 years ago, she chose to leave you to pursue a life of wealth and luxury with my uncle. While you were struggling to make ends meet, she was living in a mansion, driving luxury cars, and even eating steak imported from Europe. What goes around comes around. Karma is real. After she was discovered by my aunt, she miscarried a 4-month-old fetus and can no longer conceive. She suddenly exclaimed, looking down on me with disdain, 'Sophia, there was once a fetus in your womb. How terrifying.' Her words reminded me of those painful memories I had tried so hard to forget. Reason was like dry grass in autumn, burned to ashes by the flames of anger. I rushed forward and grabbed Isabella's neck, shouting, 'Why are you always hounding me like flies? First it was your aunt and uncle. Now it's you. You've already caused me so much pain. Now you're hurting my grandmother. What right do you have to ruin my life?' This is infuriating," I asked her excitedly. Seeing the terrified expression on Isabella's face in my hands, I felt an odd sense of satisfaction. "Look, even these wealthy people are only human after all. Sophia, let go, she's choking. Think about Grandma. She only has you left." Alexander rushed over to pull me away. His words made me realize the truth, and I slowly relaxed my grip. Isabella survived, sitting on the ground, gasping for breath, all the strength drained from my body, and a sweet, metallic taste rose in my throat. The blood mist slowly dispersed, like fireworks blooming in the night sky. When I woke up, Alexander was by my bedside. His eyes were bloodshot, and he comforted me, saying, "Sophia, I'll find the best doctor for you." Alexander seemed to already know I had stomach cancer. I just smiled dismissively, thinking it wasn't a big deal. "It's too late, Alexander. I found out I have advanced stomach cancer, and the doctor said I have at most 3 months to live. I miss Grandma so much, so I worked hard to earn more money for her retirement. Meeting you again was a pleasant surprise. The ginkgo leaves outside the window have turned yellow and are falling one by one onto the ground. 7 years ago, when I first met Christian, the weather was the same. After finishing filming, I was on my way back to the city when I came across a car accident. The fuel tank was leaking, and there was a risk of explosion. I quickly pulled Christian out of the car and moved him away from the vehicle, then called for emergency services. I thought saving someone's life was a good deed, but I never expected it would bring trouble upon myself. Christian came to my door and offered to take care of me. I refused, of course. My values wouldn't allow me to do such a thing, and I would never betray Alexander. Christian was rejected on the spot, but he didn't show any anger. He just looked at me with interest, like he was watching a small animal about to fall into a trap. Not long after, Grandma fell and broke her leg while going out to buy groceries. While accompanying Grandma at the hospital, I received a video from Christian. In the video, Alexander was filming a scene hanging from a wire 3 stories high. Scenes involving wirework are so dangerous, an accident could easily happen. That use of the word again was so clever. Grandma's accident made me realize the seriousness of the situation. And Christian's attitude felt like a final ultimatum. If I refused again, he might make something happen to Alexander. I was trembling with anger, though reluctant. I agreed. After Grandma was discharged from the hospital, I returned to Hollywood. That night it was pouring rain. I humiliated Alexander in front of him, then got into Christian's Rolls-Royce. Christian is extremely wealthy. He bought a large apartment in the city center, and the brand provides door-to-door service. Every kind of gourmet food and luxurious clothing is available. He dressed me up beautifully, took me to private parties, and took me to resorts. However, he didn't allow me to work or contact my old friends. I felt like a bird that had lost its freedom. He said he and his wife had married for career reasons and had no real feelings for each other. He claimed he had only felt butterflies in his stomach when he met me. I just laughed coldly and sighed. What did his feelings have to do with me? Why should he disrupt my life to satisfy his own emotions? While he was asleep, I went into the bathroom and took an emergency contraceptive pill without showing any emotion. I didn't want to have his child. I felt very uncomfortable. However, Christian discovered the pill. He was furious and dragged me into the home theater. An entire wall began looping clips from Alexander's movies. I felt embarrassed and the sound was chaotic. You can't forget your ex-boyfriend, so let him see how you are with me. 3 months later, I became pregnant. Christian was overjoyed and hired a professional team to take care of me. Although I had to drink a lot of supplements every day, I disliked the growing bump on my stomach. One boring afternoon, a wealthy woman burst in with her nanny and bodyguards, attacking me. A young nanny couldn't stand it and spoke up for me, only to be slapped by the wealthy woman. She said, "You dare to sympathize with her? Do you want to become one of them too? I'm sorry, I can't fulfill that request. This is the consequence of your own choice." The child couldn't be saved, and my body was also injured. Christian felt guilty toward me, but he was too busy with his wife's affairs to spare any time for me. I pretended to be deeply heartbroken, refusing to eat or drink, and clung to my pillow, crying out for my child. The beauty that once attracted Christian was gone. Christian had lost interest in me. To him, young, beautiful girls were everywhere. He doesn't care about my feelings at all. Burning paper money at the grave is just fooling the spirits. He dismissed me with $20,000. Later, I used that money to take care of my health and repair Grandma's small courtyard. I thought life would get better. But one day, Grandma suddenly fainted. After being taken to the hospital for an examination, the doctor said there was a tumor in her brain. The tumor's location was tricky, and the surgery would cost a fortune. I returned to Hollywood and started working as an extra again. Luckily, after some rest, my appearance regained its vitality. Good-looking people always get more opportunities. Staying up late, drinking, and eating irregularly took a toll on my health, even though Grandma was getting my help. By the time I realized it, it was already advanced stomach cancer. Alexander sat by the bedside, holding me in his arms. I felt a warmth on my neck and heard him say regretfully, "Sophia, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you went through so much. You should have told me sooner. I would never have let you suffer like this." I smiled gently. My tone light. 7 years ago, we really weren't anything. If I had told you, it would have only made you suffer with me. Alexander's eyes filled with anger as he clenched his fists and said firmly, "I'm not the same person anymore. Sophia, they owe you, and I will make them pay for it." Alexander insisted that I stay in the hospital to rest, and I couldn't persuade him. So I had no choice but to obey him. The hospital was very quiet, but the entertainment industry was in turmoil. Isabella's entertainment company was exposed for tax evasion and exploiting employees by withholding wages. Employees worked overtime continuously, and some even died suddenly at their desks. The company was only willing to settle with 300,000 yuan. When this news hit the trending topics, everyone was shocked. What a heartless capitalist! A human life is worth only 300,000 yuan. Meanwhile, well-known artists under Isabella Group also got into trouble. They signed shadow contracts, mistreated young actors, had affairs with assistants, and even beat them. They also arbitrarily deducted assistants' wages. Some were even exposed for engaging in inappropriate behavior, sparking intense online backlash against Isabella Group. Many who once supported the company turned against it, with some fans even protesting outside Isabella Group's headquarters. The death of a whale can bring new life to the ocean. As Isabella Tower teeters on the brink of collapse, other entertainment companies are like starving dogs eyeing a carcass, scrambling for the last scraps. Isabella came to the hospital to seek my help. The once high-end mighty young lady was now kneeling on the ground, pleading with tears in her eyes, "Sophia, please help me persuade Alexander to spare the Isabella family. I intentionally angered your grandmother in the past. It was my fault. I don't care what you do to me, but please don't involve my parents." As I watched her cry so bitterly, I felt nothing inside. Back then, I begged Christian to spare me, but he refused. He threatened me with Grandma and Alexander, forcing me to agree. What did I do wrong? I only meant to help someone in need. But now I've put myself in this predicament. Does having money give you the right to change someone else's life? You interfered in others' lives so casually before. But now that it's your turn, why are you reacting so violently? The way you're kneeling on the ground begging is just as heartbreaking as I was back then. Isabella's face turned red with anger as she pointed at me and said, "You little girl who's been raised by others, dare to show off in front of me? I came to you because I thought you were worth it. If you don't listen to me, I'll post your photos online and ruin your reputation. I can't take this anymore. Why should I care about these things? Do whatever you want." Isabella was powerless against me and stormed off angrily. The Isabella Group incident quickly came to an end. Soon after, the Isabella Group declared bankruptcy, leaving behind a significant amount of debt. To repay the debts, Isabella's parents decided to have her use her connections with the CEO to get into the entertainment industry, hoping to quickly resolve the family's financial issues. Isabella's aunt, having lost the support of her maternal family, was struggling to make ends meet in the Christian family. Her in-laws disliked her, and her husband was unfaithful. Christian met a hardworking college student while socializing at a club. She was proud, beautiful, resilient, and stubborn, like a rose with thorns. Christian was wealthy and took good care of himself. After some effort, he finally found his ideal partner. It's said he no longer goes home and is living with a college student as a couple. The sunset bathed the beach in golden light, and the sea breeze carried the salty scent of the ocean. Alexander held me in his arms, his chin resting gently on my forehead. "Sophia, I'm sorry. Christian's family company isn't in the entertainment industry, and I can't resolve this immediately. I have to take some detours." That college student was someone Alexander had arranged to be sent to Christian. She was born with HIV and needs to take medication for the rest of her life to manage her condition. I snuggled into his arms and said, "Alexander, you've done a great job. Don't put too much pressure on yourself when I'm gone. Find a good girl, get married, and have a happy life with children. I only want you to be my wife." Alexander struggled to suppress his emotions as he spoke. The color of the sunset grew deeper and deeper as it slowly set. "Alexander, I really love you. I love you too." Alexander lifted my hand and placed my ring finger in his. "This is the engagement ring I should have given you 7 years ago. Regardless, wearing it today means you are my wife." All right. A tear rolled down my cheek. "Do you think Grandma will forgive me?" That day, Grandma couldn't be saved and passed away in the middle of the night. She left with some regrets in her heart. She felt disappointed and heartbroken that her beloved granddaughter had meddled in someone else's family. The sea breeze gently blew, carrying whispers from afar. "You were her most beloved granddaughter. How could she blame you?" "All right. As long as you don't blame me, that's enough. It's just that life is so short, filled with regrets. Alexander, I love you very much. This love will last forever."